Hey everyone, Katie with Trans Refuge. So today is November 8th. For those of you who don't live in the United States or are not familiar with our elections, today is the midterm election in the United States. So our election system is federal, state, and then you have local elections for things like city council and things like that. So the federal elections and the state elections are on a 4-year cycle, but they're 2 years staggered. So in 2020, we had our federal election, and now in 2022, we are having our state elections. And every state has their own elections, and the residents of each state go and vote in their state's elections. So today I went and I voted, as I hope all of you who are United States residents are doing today. But I wanted to talk about something that I think it's critical to the future of our nation. We need to break this trend of moving toward an us and them, or a we and them type of mentality to an us mentality. So what I'm trying to convey with that is segmenting society into different groups. Because when you do that, you get an us versus them type situation where people are viewed as either inferior or a danger, or some kind of liability. So I want to give two examples of times in my life where I realized that the way people thought around me was harming people that I cared very much about. So when I was a child, my dad had this friend. He's deceased now, but he married a lady who had immigrated from Africa. I don't remember exactly which country, and it's not really relevant to this, but she had a son from a previous marriage. His name was Abu. And Abu and I played as often as we were together. We were friends. We had common interests. And I very much enjoyed Abu's friendship. But I remember when my dad's friend and his wife would leave with Abu after they were done visiting, my dad would say derogatory things about Abu's mother and about Abu. And I'm like 6, 7 years old at this time. And I found it very confusing because I thought, Abu's my friend. And when he was here, you were friendly to him. Why are you saying these, ugly things about him and his mother? As a young child, I didn't understand, race and racism. I had friends, and some of them had skin and hair and things that looked different from me. And I didn't think much about it. Abu and I had common ground on other things. He was really into sci-fi stuff, and I thought, well, that was fun as a young kid. And so that was the first time I started to realize that people who meant well, or at least, externally they seemed to mean well, could have malicious intentions and malicious feelings toward people. That was kind of my introduction to racism in practice. I had grown up hearing, racist terms and, the N-word, things like that. But as a young child, I didn't really understand what that does to people. until I saw it being done to a friend of mine. And when I saw my dad saying these things about Abu, mocking his name and saying derogatory things about where he was from and his skin color and his hair and, things that I had never even thought about and wouldn't have ever thought of as being negative things. It really made me feel hurt because I thought, well, Abu's my friend. Why would you say this about him? And if you'd say it about him, what would you say about me behind my back? So the second thing I want to talk about, the second example, so in my hometown has what's known as the Mother Mosque. It's not the first mosque built in America, but I don't remember the whole history of it. But essentially, it's kind of like culturally the most important mosque in the United States. And when I was in high school and through into college, I was very good friends with a man who also happened to be a professional mentor of mine. He played a big role in my early career. So he happened to be Muslim, and he was very active in the local Muslim community. And he was kind of a prominent Muslim in the community. And his family, along with a few others, many decades ago, had pooled their resources to build this Mother Mosque. These were people who were immigrants to the United States, who came here as Muslims and integrated into our society. And they said, hey, we don't have anything here in this community, to represent our faith and our traditions. And so they built the Mother Mosque. And so when I was in college and in high school, this guy mentored me. I actually worked for him at one business and then helped him build another business. We became very good friends, and he was about 40 years older than me. So he was kind of at the end of his career as I was just entering the workforce. And I remember, so he was pretty wealthy and probably still is. He's still alive. He had bought some land, and he had this dream of building a youth camp for young Muslim people. And he kind of wanted it to be like a Muslim version of YMCA camps only for young Muslims. And 9/11 happened. And this guy had the land bought. He was ready to go. Like, he was excited. This was his life's passion. He really wanted to do this. And when 9/11 happened, the other people who were willing to work with him on this and make it happen kind of bailed out, because the national sentiment toward Muslim people turned sour overnight. And to this day, that was over 20 years ago, he never got to fulfill his dream. And by this point, I don't know if he ever will. And the fear and the anger toward Muslims that gripped our nation following 9/11 cost this guy his dream. And I remember watching stuff on TV, and I remember going to my local church and hearing really terrible things about Muslims. And even though I wasn't a Muslim, I'm a Christian. I remember thinking, you guys are talking about a very good friend of mine, a person I look up to and I respect, who's had a tremendous good influence in my life. today's an election. We have the power as voters today to vote for people who will either continue segregating people into different categories and promoting fear and anger toward Mexican immigrants, toward LGBTQ people, toward all kinds of people, Jains, Sikhs, Muslims, atheists. Or we can vote for people who want to promote a society where we all work together for the best of everyone. Now, I happen to be a Christian, but as a Christian, when it comes to politics, I consider myself a secularist. I don't believe that society, that our government, should be ruled by religious principles. I don't think that that's how our nation needs to be. I think everybody needs to have the freedom to believe whatever they want to believe, as long as that is contained within their own life. If you're going out and ruling other people's lives with it, I don't think that's how our nation should be. So, if you haven't already, and you're a United States citizen, please get out and vote today. Vote for the future of our nation. Vote for what's best for everyone. Vote for us. So, please have a great week. I look forward to seeing what the results are of the state elections. And until next time, have a great week.